Field fans, welcome, welcome, welcome. Live edition. Let's run like home after dark. Hope you're in Friday night, 2025. Doors are just waiting for the men. Next, and you I for the team title. If you want to know why our sports is not popular, if you just watch that ESPN broadcast, you now know why. My God, something high for the team title. We'll get into that. But the distance races were entertaining. Were you not entertained? I been waiting this one for months. Nathan Green keeps the Washington streak alive. He wins for the second time. Strand gets the tactics wrong, but what a finish. Hobbs Kessler. Are your supporters coming over? I'm not sure if he is. Well, were you watching that? Are you nervous? Ethan Strand's tactics weren't wrong. We're wrong, but his kick was insane. Will he make the U.S. team in the 1500? James Corrigan makes amends for his ninth place finish last year, wins a sub 820 men's steeple. Sam Whitmore, my God. He's like the only dominant guy. Absolutely just, we knew that one was over with 150 to go. All the other races were tight. Boss 800 meter field. And then the final distance race of the night. Wyoming Oklahoma State repeat or won the 3,000 indoors. You won the 3,000? Yeah, 3,000 indoors. Won the 5,000 outdoors. But I just started the thread. God bless Marco Linden. What a race. What a gutsy race by the American. He runs like we all wish he raced. Pure guts, goes for the broke, falls over the line. I thought he had it. With 100 meters to go, I put my hand off. I said, he did it. Oh, man. But he finished third. All of that and more. We can't hear Weldon. He's muted. That's why I've been doing a monologue.
Robert, people are saying your audio is low. Can you check your audio? Check your mics, please.
Oh, it's extremely low. Can I do it again?
Oh, wow, what the hell, people? I was still listening to the broadcast because they may DQ the 4x4.
Could you hear what I was saying?
Yeah, now you're really loud. So check. Make sure on the settings. Wait, what would a Let's Run call be? Hit adjust mic volume when you go to settings audio.
I turned that off. I'll do it again.
No, do settings audio. You're too loud now.
Maybe
because I jacked your volume to 100%.
Automatically adjust my volume.
Guys, this is why you want to be a supporters club member. If you're a supporters club member, you're not going to even hear this part.
Yeah.
Or maybe
we'll do it again.
Member, so
give us more time for Jonathan Galt to finish his interviews.
We're just stalling for Jonathan.
This is Groundhog Day. It didn't happen.
There may be a DQ in the 4x4, Robert, which is BS. We need John's sister here. I want to tie. So John's sister here.
Who got DQ'd?
There should be no tie in a track and field meet. It really is like kissing your sister. It's ridiculous.
Who got DQ'd?
They're talking about DQing South Florida, and then I guess A&M would go up 2 points, and USC would only go up 1 point, so it would give A&M the title.
All right, let me start that again. No one could hear it? We'll do it again.
We could hear it very softly, so do it again.
I'll just do it again. That way you don't have to edit the podcast. Track and field fans, were you not entertained? I'm always entertained with NCAAs, but if you want to know why our sport's not popular, if you're like me and you had to watch that thing on TV, you just saw why. Terrible announcing from start to finish. And then at the end, USC and Texas A&M kiss their sister and they tie for the team title. We should not have ties for the team title. That's insane. We've been doing this for 15 years. Oh, God. But hey, the distance races were very entertaining to me. I had a great time watching this. Let's go in order. Nathan Green. We've been talking about this 1500 for weeks, for months. He keeps the Washington win streak alive. He wins his second NCAA title. Great run. Deserving champion. Ethan Strand. He gets the tactics wrong. Dead last with 150 meters to go. Almost wins it. Hobbs Kessler. Are you a supporters club member? Were you watching that race? Are you listening right now? Should you be worried? Because that kick by Ethan Strand was insane. He may have lost the race, but won the war. We'll get into that. Men's steeple, James Corrigan, he makes amends for his ninth place finish last year. Really smart race. Let himself get gapped. He realized it was fast. 61 last lap. Wins the title. The only race that was over was like 150 to go, 100 meters to go. Sam Whitmarsh, Texas A&M, just dominated that 800. That was surprising how dominant he was, and then how bad the heat winners were from the semifinals. And my boy Kadali, dead last. And then the men's 5,000. Brian Musau, the indoor winner, wins it outdoors. But my God, I just started the thread. God bless Marco Langen. He runs the races like we wish we raced. Pure guts, gives it his all. I thought he had it. With 100 meters to go, I put my hand up, and I was smiling to myself like I was smiling with Nico. And I said, my God, he did it. The guy that said he had to win it to put food on the table for his mother and sister indoors and went too hard. This time he was patient. He just sat in third. And he was right on the leader's shoulder. And I'm like, he's going to win it. He couldn't quite do it. Third place finish, but Prefontaine is clapping for the grave. Bravo, Marco. The Olympic champion in the discus, and winning NCAA title is not easy. The Olympic champion and world record holder in men's discus is still never won one. All of that and much more. This is Robert Johnson, joined by my genetic equal, Weldon Johnson. It's interesting. People, am I pointing to Weldon right now? Because I'm pointing away from him on my screen. Anyways, joined by Weldon Johnson. Soon we'll be joined by the best journalist in track and field, Jonathan Gault. The man of the last 2 days has interviewed the following two people. These two people never speak to the press. He's interviewed both Max Siegel and Bobby Kersey. So thanks to you supporters club members. I always say you guys pay his salary, and he's doing excellent work.
Glad to be here, Robert. The meet is still going on. Listening in the background. If you think track and field is a team sport, think again. The NCAA title is in the balance. They just showed a shot of Hayward Field. Can you imagine, like, you're at the NCAA basketball championships and it's like we're waiting for the controversial call. There's like 6 people left in the stands. All the athletes are still in the infield. You probably okay. Now they're saying, I think the protest was rejected. We're already kissing our sister here. So who would file a protest? If you're A&M, you've got the title guaranteed. Do you really care if you're sharing the title or if you're winning it outright? Like, I don't know. Anyway, track and field is a team sport. It's a crazy concept. Everybody's trying to make track and field a team sport. At the Olympics, we have USAs, yes, but otherwise, no. There's a professional tennis league now trying to have like Miami play St. Petersburg in tennis. Like, come on, people. This is mano a mano, the best of the best going at it. It's about individual excellence. Yes, at the collegiate level, we have teams, but it's so secondary at this thing. Okay, it looks official now. I see.
Okay, well, look,
Quincy Watts high-fiving his team. Pat Henry's high-fiving his team.
Most of the people listening to this are listening on tape demand because they're supporters club members. By the way, if you want to join the supporters club members, letsrun.com/subscribe. A lot of people didn't watch it. Basically, it was a tight race going into the 4x4, and they totally butchered the announcing. They said USC had to get 4th or higher. No, if USC got 4th or higher, they were guaranteed to win because they had a 6-point lead over Arkansas. USC got 8th. Arkansas got 3rd. So I knew instantly that Arkansas was 1 point behind USC because Arkansas would go for 34 to 40 and USC would go to 41. I only started watching that race on the 3rd leg. Dwight Stones was like dumbfounded. He had no idea what happened. He said he had to get those statisticians. I'm like, I figured this out in 2 minutes. Wasn't even paying attention to A&M. They finished 2nd. So apparently they had 33 points coming in. They got 8 more. They're 41. The 2 teams tie for the title at 41. Arkansas is 40. This is a joke. First of all, whoever does higher in the 4x4 should be the team winner. You should never have a tie, or hell, just make them have a match race right now. It'd be amazing. All right, we'll have a 4x4 between these 2 teams. Be good drama for TV. Never have a tie. They've gotten rid of ties. Every other sport is modernized and gotten rid of the ties. There's penalty kicks. There's, whatever, shootouts.
Robert, they just had a 4x4. We don't need to have a rematch of the 4x4. The team who did better in the 4x4 wins. If that's not the case,
if you have no teams in the 4x4, you just get 4 athletes out there. Right? I guess that would be a problem though for New Mexico. Because what if New Mexico tied for the team title and they don't have 4 runners to run the 4x4 because they only have 3 people at NCAAs. But look, it's a joke. It reminds me when I was coaching at Cornell. I don't know what year it was. I was sitting in the stands, and there was these old timers. Like, they had their cushion seats, their binoculars, their stopwatches. These were high school coaches from Iowa. They were watching the meet. The meet finished, and this is back before you had, cell phone timing and everything. The meet finished, and they're like, who won the team title? And then the meet announcer couldn't figure it out. We sat in the stands for 5 minutes, and I sat there. I was going to wait till they figured it out on TV. On announcing in the stadium, and they could not figure it out. These 3 guys are finally like, we're out of here. And they left without knowing. And Weldon saying, like, look, no one's caring. I just don't like how ESPN tries to shove the team thing down our throats, which is fine because that's how they present all their sports. But then you need to have dynamic scoring and projected scoring. They never talk about projected scoring or who's likely to win or what. And their math skills are so bad. It's embarrassing. Now we're being joined by Jonathan Galt. Thank God, John, you didn't have to watch this on TV. It just shows you why track and field is unpopular. They have non-play-by-play people doing play-by-play yet again. They have Joe Montgomery reading off the bios of every runner and not actually analyzing the races. And then they totally butcher the 4x4 call, and we still don't know who won the team title. So let's just analyze the races and don't get into that. Hope you enjoyed the distance races. I thought they were fabulous. I was stunned by how much Whitmarsh won by. I love the 1,500. Nathan Green, my boy, won. And folks, great win for Corrigan. And the 5,000, Marco Langdon's effort is just insane. I hope Steve Prefontaine is jumping. Is he buried in Eugene? Like, can you hear him clapping from the grave? Amazing run for him. Brian Mussel deserved a winner. But folks, we have something very important. I've already announced your accolades, John. Not only has he interviewed, this is probably the highlight of Jonathan Galt's life. He has interviewed Bobby Kersey and Nothing Mo in the last 24 hours. And folks, it's been official. He is correctly predicted in the Let'sRun.com prediction contest the winner of the men's 800, the men's 1,500, the men's steeple, and the 5,000. The smartest man in track and field, Jonathan Galt, now joins us. Thank you, Jonathan.
First of all, Robert, can you hear me all right? I don't have headphones. You can hear me all right? Okay. Yeah, I'm sitting here. I'm outside the media tent. Thank you for the introduction. You seem like we've got in the comments, Rojo's on a roll tonight. And honestly, I was going to be disappointed if I didn't hear you complaining about the meet ending in a tie, and then there's a protest, and they should always break the tie by the results of the 4x4. That's a Let's Run policy. It's a national championship. Shouldn't be ending in a tie if we can avoid it. And they both had teams in the 4x4. Anyway, the distance races were phenomenal. Men's 1,500. Can I take a victory lap, not just for the prediction, but my stance that tactics and positioning matter in a 1,500? You're like, whatever, the best fittest guy's going to win. Like, Ethan Strand probably would have won that race if his tactics weren't like completely disastrous and if he just wasn't in a horrible position. He chalked it up. He was very mature afterwards. He's like, there's a learning experience for me. I let like 8 guys move by me, and I just, at that point I knew he got shoveled back to last place, and he was like, look, either I could go by lane 5 and just try to pass everyone on the back straight or the final turn, or just wait till the last 100. And he actually said with 100 to go, he was like, I thought I could get them, because he said with 180 to go, he's like, it felt like I hadn't been running at all. I felt like 100%. So, his top gear was insane, but he ran out of gas with 20 meters to go. And Nathan DeGreen, deserve a champion. Obviously, these are both great athletes, but that was a race that shows you, yes, in a tactical championship race, positioning actually does play a role.
Yeah, let's start there with the 1,500, because time-wise, it was not an interesting race. But from a tactical standpoint, this is crazy. I'm looking at some of these splits here. I'm gonna put them up now. But if you didn't see the race, it was pretty slow. It wasn't as slow as the prelims, but I guess kind of actually through the first 800. I'm showing the 300 splits. 46 the first 300, then a 69, then a 60, and then then essentially on the final lap. This is crazy. Okay, first place, Nathan Green, 3:47.26. Ethan Strand goes from almost last to first to second on the final straight, almost catches him, doesn't get there. Some kid from a school, someone else can say the name for me, please, gets third. Ferenc Kovacs from
Harvard, folks.
Yes, ahead of Adam Spencer of Wisconsin and Gary Martin of Virginia. Birnbaum ends up Jack Kroll, our guy. Like Jack Kroll, I thought this is his type of race, man. Everyone knows Jack Kroll. This is his type of race. He's going to think about this one for 50 years.
He was boxed in. He ran up. He could have gotten third. He ran up and like was running into their back. He did not have space. Look, this was crazy. The finish. It was just like the prelim. One of the prelims. It was like a cross country race. First through 11th were separated by 0.68. Green was a clear winner. Strand was a clear second, and then after that, and Kovacs of Harvard was third. After that, it was just like you could have been fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth. The Butler guy or whatever, the guy who won the heat and could have been up there. Yes, tactics cost Strand. And I'm going to make some videos about the tactics next week, but I actually wrote this up in the recap in our quick take that we're going to be publishing. He didn't run that bad of a tactical race, honestly. He was right with Green most of the race, and the weird thing was, like, I used to tell my guys at Cornell, shut your brain off and just chill out for the first 800. Like, I would actually just be fine with running in last and then moving up between 800 and 1,000. And that's what a lot of people did, because Strand was like on the outside for most of the turns right with Green. But then around 800, the rest of the field behind him just came up on the outside. And then he got boxed in. So he was boxed in on the third to last turn and the second to last turn. And he kept looking out. He had a couple times where he could have boarded out. Normally, but you got to make some contact. You got to put your hand out. And he hesitated both times to do it. And you saw Sam Whitmarsh right before 600 in that 800. He was boxed in. He saw it and he just put his hand out and went out and just jumped out. I think Strand's so good. He's like, I don't want to foul anybody. It's not worth it. And he just couldn't get out. So he waited. And I actually think it was smart. And then like 150 to go, he's still in last, just jumps out. And it was 3:28 in the clock. It's a 3:47 race. It was like 150 to go. And he almost ran them all down. So, yeah.
Well, Robert, I think you're right there. Once he's in last place, like with 300 to go or whatever, at that point, I think you do have to wait and like just see if you can run them down. It did almost work. But I think the contrast to Whitmarsh is instructive, because, you know, he was in the middle and he just saw one gap and he was very clear. He's like, I saw my opening and I knew I had to go. I had to take it. Like, it wasn't necessarily going to present itself again. He took it decisively and powered away and won. But yeah, the margins in some of these races are so thin. Like, you can't hesitate if you see an opening. It's hard. I'm not going to pretend these are easy things to do, but you got to see that opening and pounce.
All right.
I mean, this is crazy. Back to these results.
Unrelated.
First and 11th place were separated by 0.68 seconds.
Well, did not listen to what I said.
Watching it, there was two guys who could win this race, the final 100. Like, the Harvard guy's only 0.16 back. I didn't really think he was going to win. Green got in front, I think, with 300 to go, and he said afterwards, he's like, I realized, okay, this is it. I'm going to have to dive. And pretty much, he had no idea Strand was there. Because Strand was further out in lane 2, but he wins it by 0.07. I think if Strand, he knew this was the NCAA title. He tightened up, man. I think honestly, like, if this was some other race, he might have won it. I think he got tight there at the very end. Maybe not. Maybe he's just out of steam. But hold on a second. The fastest last lap was Strand, 51:28. Green had 51:46. So did third place, Ferenc Kovacs. The slowest final lap of anyone in the top 11 actually was Birnbaum, 51:88. So he's 0.6, half a second separates anyone. Guys, everyone can kick at this level. If you're running an extra distance, you're done with. Like, it's going to cost you most likely.
Well,
I mean, Strand
that's true.
Strand runs a 51:28, running extra distance, all that other stuff. So I'm just saying, like, we saw this in the prelims. If it's a slow race, I can see why some of these other guys didn't care. But if you're Strand, you want the pace faster than that, or you got to be in. But make sure that you got to watch Centro. You got to be in good position for the final lap.
But well, then these guys can all kick. But if you look at the top 5 in this race, the only one that I think is a surprise is Kovacs. Like, the other guys are sort of the big. There were big 6 going in. Tefra and Murphy get eliminated, but I expected the top 4 in this race to be Green, Strand, Spencer, and Martin in some order, and it was almost that.
Yeah. And if you're not familiar with Kovacs, he's from Hungary. He actually ran the 5,000 at the Budapest Worlds as a wild card, but the tactical nature of this benefited him because despite the 5,000, pedigree, he actually ran the 800 at the Ivy League Championships, 800-meter champion. Yeah, John Kellogg always says tactics did cost Strand in this race. Definitely. He still might have. I mean, there's a chance Green beats him anyways, but I don't think so. But John Kellogg says like it goes slow. It's normally still the best guys would have gone 1 through 4. Now you have one upset with Kovacs, but Adam Spencer. I mean, he had no excuses. He looked really good in the prelims. He had like the second slowest last lap at 51.87. Everyone was top 11 all closed in 51. So you're right. They can all kick. And, I just think that you don't think normally with 800 meters into the race, I'm going to get boxed in for the rest of eternity. But it's just 2 more turns. And he wasn't real aggressive. He would have had to push his way out or at one point, remember the Centro squeeze? He had a chance to do a squeeze up inside. He didn't do it. I've watched it 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, Robert, I would say the last 800 when it's a tactical race like this, the last 800 you've got to take, but you can't afford to get worse position at that point. You need to be improving your position or maintaining it to the finish line from that point on.
That's why the Rojo coaching method is better. Run in the back for the first 800 and then put yourself in a position by 1,000. So that's what everyone else was doing in the race. They must have gotten the same. They must have stolen me. By the way, I just want to state for the record, there's some debate on this interwebs. Caden, by the way, wants me to announce for ESPN. ESPN, you've got my number, 844 Let's Run, 844-538-7776. And then someone else, David Mentor, is upset saying, Rojo wanted Dwight Stones fired on the message board because he said it was obvious that USC won by 1 point. But Dwight was actually, I love Rojo, but he was completely wrong tonight. Yeah, I posted, they didn't know who won between USC and Arkansas. I immediately did that and was starting a live stream. I'm sorry I didn't look to see. The announcing was so bad, I didn't even realize A&M was in it too, because I've been doing like 10 other things. It's not that hard. I've done broadcasting. If you know what you're doing and you have a statistician, you can figure out 3 teams in a 4x4. John, did you know what happened? Quickly. Oh, you're probably doing interviews.
Well, I was interviewing someone, so I couldn't really follow the exact states of the 4x4. I mean, what an insane ending, though. Like A&M, they've got the lead. You just hold on, and you might know. Do they know if they won? Was it guaranteed victory, or did it depend on the other? No,
USC finishes 4th. USC would finish.
But it turned out that you just hold on to that lead, and you're the team title, and then South Florida just steams past them and to get the win. So that, I mean, watching on the replay, I'm like, holy crap, that's amazing.
But is your sister in Eugene, John?
Is my sister in Eugene? No.
Okay. Well, you know what ties are. We said this on the podcast. If she was there, we would bring her out.
We said this was going to be a 30-minute show. We're already 30 minutes. We're not even, I guess.
We had a 5-minute intro, John, and we had to redo the intro because Robert's volume was low. So, and people are saying, hey, they want Supporters Club t-shirts. I think we should probably do Supporters Club t-shirts. After like so many years of Supporter Club, you get an automatic t-shirt mailed to you. But I got the regular Let's Run shirt on. Go to shop.letsrun.com to get that right now. Shop.letsrun.com.
What do you mean, like short?
If you're in the San Francisco area, obviously you'll need a long sleeve because summer's approaching. Everyone else can buy the short sleeves, but obviously, if you're kind of bored, you want to go to bed, you want to watch a little Bill Maher with your wife right now, Bill Maher and chill. You can do that. You can listen to this as a podcast tomorrow. Join the Supporters Club. Let'sRun.com/subscribe. You get this as a podcast. You get all the exclusive content. It's the best club in running.
Well, then Bill Maher and chill, is that like a San Francisco thing? I mean, that's maybe we save that a little bit later, but that's kind of odd thing to say.
I made it up today, but it's one of my wife's favorite shows. So I just, hey, a little Bill Maher.
Well, Bill Maher and chill in the Johnson household. All right. So wait, men's 1500. I feel like we're not making a big enough deal that one, Nathan Green has won 2 NCAA 1500 meter titles, which is incredibly difficult to do. Though I guess, and 2, him, Joe Wascom, and Luke Hauser were all on the team together for a bunch of years. All of them won 2 NCAA 1500 or mile titles. We're never going to see something like that again. Nathan was saying, he was quite firmly, he's like, we own this event. This is the best. I don't know.
We're never going to see it.
We're never going to see one team have 3 guys win 2 titles in the same event and all be teammates.
That isn't because I'm fairly
Powell's
probably going to win 2.
Yeah, he's gonna have two more teammates that are each gonna win two. I mean, it is crazy though, because Washington, like, they've won this event 4 years in a row, and you think, oh, all right, Nathan Green, he's turning pro, he's graduating. They're finally, the reign's gonna be over, and it's like, no, they're bringing in Owen Powell, who is one of the best prospects. One of he's the top mile prospect coming out of high school. Also, Coach Andy Powell's son. And Josiah Tostenson. I think they're going to be still pretty good moving forward.
All right, who do we got? USA's. I said one of the big three is not going to make it. In case you don't know, America had 3 of the top 5 in the Olympics. Kohlacker first, Yernigus third, Hobbs Kessler fifth. Kessler feels like he's telling us at the interviews that he's made a step up and he thinks he's in better shape this year. And he is a wise man. His wide-ranging interview with me in Philadelphia, he's like, why did they build Hayward Field in Eugene? They should have built it in a real city like Portland.
What are you talking about? Why did they build it in Eugene? Phil Knight's not going to give $200 million to build a track in Portland, Oregon. He wants it in Tracktown, USA at his alma mater of Eugene. I think that's
Tracktown, USA is officially dead. I know that he did it because he wants Oregon to benefit, but it could be the Oregon track in Portland. But that crowd was disgraceful. There was nobody there. There's no crowd. There's thousands. It's just the parents. There's too many meets there. It's too small of a town. It's too hard to get to. People have been there a billion times. Like, Tracktown USA should be ashamed of the crowd that was there today. Pathetic.
Robert, but the days of traveling to Eugene, it's just too many events. The old timers are dead. The locals who used to come out, and the stadium's huge now, so it's going to look bad on TV. They don't taper stuff over. But so I don't know what's they announced attendance, John?
They didn't. I mean, it didn't strike me as being any worse than last year. And Robert, Austin actually has gotten pretty good crowds when they've hosted, but where are you going to get a bigger crowd than what we got? Is Drake going to get a bigger crowd?
Boise, Idaho had it 1 year. They had a big crowd.
In like what? When was that? That was like 20 years ago. Well then, right? Like I'm just not convinced that the crowd would be any better or much better if you had it somewhere else.
Okay.
No, but I just don't want to hear how Tracktown USA is so special. The crowd is so special. All the fans. That's not true anymore. It's just not true. There used to be like 4,000 to 5,000 locals that were on top of what you get in terms of the parents and the staff and the agents. But as Walden said, most of them are dead or tired of track or can't afford it.
Or they don't like that they tore down Hayward Field. I mean, it's just, I think just based on, I've been to the final day of NCAA's before, and the old Hayward, it was, I think that was like 8,800 or something. It was packed. And I would guess that there were some old timers who, after COVID and after Hayward Field was torn down, they're just like, nah, either they're too old or unable to go, or they don't have the desire to go anymore.
I mean, yeah, 8,800, John, though, but if you get 6,000, 8,800 seat stadium, it looks packed. So who knows how many more? I think they did have more locals turn out then. And people are asking, why am I wearing a vest in my house in San Francisco? Is this a finance thing? Is that a vest thing? Because I wear a vest all the time. Maybe I'm just surrounded by finance people even though I live in California. It's San Francisco. Like my porch is right here. I never close my back door ever year round, but it's cold all the time when you go outside. So I don't know, you just come inside, you keep the vest on.
Let's talk
but
about
if you want
the
personal comments, hit the tip button and we'll answer your personal questions. Well, I'll just keep going at the end. Personal questions.
I'm
or
trying
if you
to
want to join the Supporters Club right now, $100 into the tip button. We said this last night. We'll acknowledge you and give you the Supporters Club membership.
Okay, Robert.
I thought we had a time limit. We're going to have a timer so we stay on topic tonight.
It's only 8 o'clock. John and I are ready to go for 2 or 3 hours.
Okay, Robert, 800. Do you want to go there or something?
No, I want to go in order of finish.
Okay.
Look, the Steeple was exactly what we thought it was going to be. We got 8-13 guys, and Jeffrey Kurwa and James Corrigan. Kurwa of Louisville by way of Kenya, Corrigan of BYU. And that's what happened. I mean, a shout out to Iowa State's. Is it Josh Ruto? It's Joash. Joash Ruto. He kind of got the thing going on like the third lap. So there was an honest pace. And then, they're running pretty honestly. And then in the final 1,800 to go, like it was a little bit surprising. Ruto takes the lead. And again, I mean, there was nothing in the commentating like, oh, he's gapped the field. He's gapped Corrigan. Corrigan was like running in 4th or 5th, but it was honest. And I think he just was running smart. I think he knew it was a fast pace. I think he trusted his kick. He only got about 2 seconds down. I think he was like 1.7 seconds down at the bell. And he ran him down. He closed in 61.01 on his last lap. Kerr only ran 63. So they didn't come down a lot because they run like 64s and 65s. I mean, it was an honest pace. And
Yeah.
he wins 8:16 to 8:17. You know, he's an Olympian, so it's not a surprise. He's run 8:13, but he did get 9th last year in this meet. And I just thought he seemed extremely confident in the post-race interview on TV. I thought this was a smart run. There was no panic. He totally trusted his kick. He knew it was fast. Another just, you know, we've stopped doubting Ed Eyestone. I was wondering this year when we praise him and say they're going to win, is that going to jinx him? No, the Ed Eyestone, there's no jinx of Ed Eyestone. He knows what he's doing.
And here I was thinking that they were just running on pure hate and to prove the Let's Run doubt is wrong. Well, I picked Corrigan and he still won. I thought it was a perfectly measured race. Like really impressive letting that gap open. That's not a thing that comes naturally to a racer. You know, you need to be so confident, but the way Corrigan explained it was he figured that someone might make a move like that because he knows, you know, he's got a pretty good kick. Remember at the Olympic trials, he was just mowing people down the last year. So he thought someone might do that, and he knew they were already moving at a pretty decent clip, that with how Kipkurui was going, he didn't think it was sustainable. He thought, you know, just keep him on a string, basically. Don't let that string get broken. And he moved up when he needed to on the last lap. I'm like, Corrigan's got this. He's just moving up so smoothly. It was really, really beautiful to watch. And, you know, Kipkurui, credit to him. You know, he kept fighting. Like, he battled to the end. And he had no regrets afterwards either, because he knew, he's like, look, I knew Corrigan had a very good kick. I didn't want to leave it down to a kick with him. I tried to string it out. I don't regret it at all. I went for it. I ran out of gas a little bit, but he thought it was a move he had to make. And I agree with him. So I think both of them ran really well. It's just two great athletes. Someone had to lose, and that's why we love the NCAAs.
And can we give a shout out to what's his name? Is it Caleb Williams? I don't have it in front of me right now.
No, Caleb Williams is the quarterback for the Bears.
Yeah. Carson Williams of Furman. This guy came into this race with an 8:30 PB. He runs 8:19, 10 plus seconds as a senior to get third. Furman's, you know, they also had the top American in the 10,000. So nice meet for them. Great run for Mr. Williams, Carson. And in honor of BYU, folks, I'm drinking this. This is a Miller Extra Light. And when I look, normally I wouldn't. People are making fun of me. They're like, "You lost your man card, Robert. You're drinking an Extra Light." Most people don't even know that beer exists. It's my favorite. It's pretty much the only thing I can just pound at night now with my age. Like, you can
is that what 1%, 2%?
It's not alcoholic, or is it
beer? Or?
It's 2.8%, but apparently it's okay with the Mormons. Any Mormons on the chat? Because when I went to the thing, I'm like, "Do you have the Miller?" There's another name for it too. It's like Miller. I said, "Do you have Miller Extra Light?" He didn't know what the name was. And I'm like, "Yeah, you had it here last time." He's like, "What?" And then I showed him a picture of my phone. He goes, "Oh, the Mormon beer. Yeah, we got that." So he called it the Mormon beer. So I don't know if they're allowed to drink it because it's so low alcohol content.
Robert, I'll make fun of you for it. Maybe not right now, but I'll keep that in my back pocket for drinking the Miller Extra Light. Anyway, no, it was a good race. And Carson Williams, I mean, that's the kind of race you run 8:19 as a senior. I'm not sure if it'll get you a shoe contract, but that's enough to get like some groups maybe interested in you. Whereas if you graduate with an 8:30 PB in the Steeple, no one's really going to be that interested. So great race for him. It'll be interesting to see where he goes from here.
Some of these chats about the beer comments are quite funny. I'm not going to say them. All right.
Oh, and I guess one point on the steeplechase, I was kind of surprised that Matthew Kosgei of New Mexico wasn't a bit higher. He finished 6th place, but this is a guy who has medaled at the World Under-20 Championships last year. He's a silver medalist, ran 8:17. I thought he would be closer to the top two, and that was not the case. All right, next distance final was the men's 800. I do want to talk about the 100 as well at some point because Jordan Antony, he's quite a character, and winning it from lane 9. Like when if ever have both NCAA short sprint champions been from lane 9? That was like very odd. But we'll talk about the 800. And yeah, Sam Whitmarsh, I ended up being a very convincing victory. Waited for that gap to open on the back straight, and he found it. He went decisively, really started hammering with 200 to go, and it was a race for second at that point. So I would have loved to see him go up against Tanoda Matsatsa if Matsatsa was healthy from Georgetown, the Olympic trials finalist from last year, ran 1:45.0 this season, but he was injured. They ended up, not a serious injury, but bad timing. They pulled him from the meet, and with him gone, this was still a good field, but Whitmarsh was clearly the class of it.
The other thing that was surprising to me was the 3 heat winners and 3 semifinals winners finished 5th for Aiden McCarthy of Cal Poly, 7th for Christian Jackson of Virginia Tech, and 8th for Tyrese Taylor of Arkansas. So, I guess the guys that won were, you have an NCAA champion in first, a NCAA indoor champion in second, a former NCAA champion in third, and then the Princeton guy in fourth. So, I mean, the top 3 were pretty good, but normally the heat winners are the guys that are kind of, showing the stuff in the final. And then my boy, I've long predicted that the 142 guy from Kenyan made the Olympic team last year, but obviously win NCAAs. And I mocked Track and Field News for having him not scoring, but and guess what? He didn't score. He was in 9th place. Now, he had a good excuse. His shoulder was wrapped. He had the second fastest time in the semis, and he dove at the line and injured his shoulder. But did you get a chance to talk to him? It looked like he was limping. Like around 400, he started limping.
I did, yeah. And he said that he picked up a knee injury about 2 weeks ago, and he really felt it today, and that the shoulder thing, I think that was still a bit sore for him. So he even had some people saying like, hey, you don't need to run, you don't need to do this. He's like, no, I want to do it for the Ducks. It's like he's bought into Oregon. He likes being on the team, likes representing Oregon, running at the home track. So, but I could tell as soon as he stepped off the line, like he just didn't. I guess some guys do like to go out.
Yeah, he went straight to the back.
But I was like, I don't think he's going to be a factor at all. And overall, he thought there was some progress in the semifinals. I mean, he ran 1:45 in the semis, which is his best time since he's been in the U.S. So I don't know how much the knee injury, maybe that made it worse racing hard in that one. But obviously he made it to nationals, so he was healthy enough to do that. But
I would love to hear what Jerry says about him. And Jerry thought he could get second. They thought they could go 1-2 indoors, but John, you and I have a friend, John, who's a big 800 expert, and he's like, I've just never seen. I've watched this guy run. Nothing I see looks like he's ever run 142. I'm like, what do you think? Like he's faking his identity? I mean, I'm pretty sure we have pictures, but this is the same guy that made the Kenyan Olympic team. You can compare his face and compare the face of the guy that ran in the Olympics. I'm pretty sure that's not some sort of swap body or something.
Well, I think Robert, he said I was like, what's the difference between last year and running 142 and this year? He's like, oh, it is different. That was last year. I kind of put it behind me. And I think he said essentially like going to class and that sort of stuff, like being a student is different for him. That's an adjustment that he's had to make. It seems like he's enjoying his time here though, but he's like, yeah, it's not full time. He likes the facilities here. He thinks they're a lot better than when he was back home in Nairobi, but it is a bit, I don't think it can be. I think you have to acknowledge that sometimes we expect these Kenyan teenagers to come over and start running really well right away, and some of them do, but some of them, it takes them a year or two to get used to the changing culture and weather and everything.
Okay, I have an important update here. You're going to learn, this is just light learning about life. Why it's called a Mormon beer. Up until November of 2019, you were not allowed to sell a beer over 3.2% in Utah. So 2.8%, they were good to go. And, yes, they don't drink alcohol, but they didn't want anyone else to. And then if the Mormon did slip up, at least they only slip up on like a 2.8%er. And,
you can sell a beer above 3% in the entire state of Utah?
Up until 2019. Now it's up to 5%.
That's insane. Well, 2019. Yeah, 2019. I mean, it must have been past BYU finally won NCAA cross country, and they realized these guys need to celebrate. Let's change the beer laws.
But you can buy like hard alcohol, but I can't have like an IPA, like even a 6%er. My goodness.
All right, and then
Anyway,
the other
all right.
guys, this 800. I mean, Matthew Erickson, I thought moved up pretty smartly. He got second. He kind of was like, I had to just. He wasn't in the best position, so he basically said he had to stay patient and move a little later. But by that point, it was too late. I think it would if he had a clean run at it, maybe he could have had a shot at Whitmarsh, but he really didn't have a shot with 100 to go.
And then Rodman and Princeton fourth. I asked Jason Vigilani, I'm a Princeton alum. I said, hey, like they got like 4 guys going to UVA next year for a 5th year. I'm like, how they end up there? And he's like, well, Vinley Lanana really worked hard to get them. He worked the hardest to recruit them. He called them every week. He came up to Princeton and met with them, talked about it. And that work was rewarded. But I was thinking to myself, thank God I'm not a college coach anymore. Can you imagine being over 70 years of age and having to call kids every week and beg them to come run for you? I mean, people want to know, there's a reason why Mike Smith is becoming a pro coach. I've always said it's just a lot easier lifestyle. Nike gives you the athletes. You maybe try to recruit 2 or 3 of them. You don't have to hold their hands if on an easy run.
But,
you don't have to go all the meet with them. You can watch it on TV.
I think you're overstating things a little bit here. Vin Lanana, I'm sure he has a hand in recruiting, but they have assistant coaches. All of these top coaches have assistant coaches who will do a lot of the grunt work with recruiting. And then I'm not saying the head coaches are uninvolved. Some of them might be, but I think for a lot of these schools, the assistant coaches will be making all the calls, and then you bring them on campus and talk to the coach, or maybe you get a personal. I
told you what Coach Vigilani told me. He said Villanana called him every week, and he drove up here and met with him. So you can discount what he told me, or you.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh, sorry. I guess I missed that part. I was looking something up. So that is insane. But I don't think that's the norm. That's actually wild to me. I mean, Vin obviously knows how to recruit because he's been, he built great programs.
But think about it. Yes, you get assistance, but it's smart. Vin drives up to Princeton. It's what, it's not that far from UVA. It's probably a 4-hour drive, 3-hour drive. He spends 6 hours of time. Maybe he had to go to New York for a reason, or anyways. And then he lands like 4 recruits that are like 146, 352 in the mile. So, good use of time. Plus, that they're into it.
All right, let's talk 5K. This was another fantastic race. Brian Massell repeating from indoors. He's the indoor and outdoor champion. And, man, what a battle it was. It looked like it was going to come down to Langan and Massell, Marco Langan of Villanova. Eventually, Langan, I guess he ended up third behind Hampton Samuel, who got a feel for the guy. He did win the 10K last year, but he was second at NCAA cross, second at NCAA indoors in the 5K, second at NCAA outdoors in the 10K, second at NCAA outdoors in the 5K. So 4 runner-up finishes in this academic year, 0 individual titles. That's tough. But Brian Massell, well deserved. This guy, the 13:20 race, he looked like he was passed with about 100 to go, rallies back, showed the heart of a champion, and outkicked Langan at the end. Just really impressive run by him. But yeah, I don't think, Langan was pretty beaten up about it. He was emotional because he put so much emotional energy into this. Like, he was just like, I go dark for like a month. He said like, he kind of stopped talking to his mom and his sister because he was just so for the last month or so, because he was just so locked in on this race and obsessed with it. And his mentality was like, it's win or die. He compared himself to the caveman back then, like when you go hunt a lion or something, that, that's the sort of adrenaline you get. And like, to me, this is like, I feel the same sort of emotions because you either win or you're going to get killed. So that's his whole approach to racing, which is, it's crazy, but he's so obsessed with it.
You see that once I met him and once I talked to him in NCAA indoors, I'm like, I'm a fan forever. And then once if you haven't heard that, it might not be obvious in TV, but once you've heard that, you watch on TV, you're like, yes, that's how he runs. But I thought he was smart. Like, he did indoors, he took the lead with like 1,000. Here he's patient. And with 100 meters to go, I put my hand up, John. You missed the intro. I was like, he did it. He was right there. But he's forcing himself. But I used to say that when I was injured and Weldon was running college, and he'd be in the lead pack of the Ivy League 10,000 champions and fall off. I thought, if I ever get healthy, I'm just gonna make myself stay up there. And then you get healthy and you realize you can't make yourself stay up there. This guy makes himself stay up there longer than most. Nobody can do it the whole way. But great win from Masao. Samuel second. And then Langdon third. And look, in terms of Samuel, I would just say he's kind of screwed. He has no kick. But hey, Hampton, you don't need to worry about that anymore, because Nico Young, Galen Rupp have both shown you can be like an also ran an NCAA, and then in your junior, senior year, you'll suddenly develop a kick and be a world beater. So I used to think you either have a kick or you don't. Maybe you can develop it. So good for him. Valentin Soka of Cal Baptist, isn't he? I forgot where he's from. He's from like South America somewhere, right, John?
Ooh, off the top of my head, what country is Valentin Soka from? Is it maybe Venezuela? I think it is South America somewhere, Robert.
I mean, it's unusual. I know that.
Uruguay, people.
Uruguay. Apologies.
And then, but I think we got to give a shout out to Rocky Hansen. It's just such a great time to be a U.S. distance fan. We have like Ethan Strand and Nico Young and Graham Blanks and Grant Fisher and all these people. And then Rocky Hansen. I mean, he's only a sophomore. He did all the work in this race. He just was fearless. I was like, I don't know when he took the lead, about 1,000 or something. I was like doing something else. And I look up, he's just running 64. I'm not sure why he did that, because he has pretty damn good wheels, but it certainly destroyed the chances of, like, if you're wondering if like Ethan Strand or somebody like that, it's so hard to come back from the 1,500. But when they made it on it, those guys were screwed.
Sal was saying that he's like, the one guy I was scared about was Ethan. Like, I know how good he can kick. I've seen him do it. Like, I was just like, I hope he's not in the race. So he was like, I think he would have been fine with a slower race apart from that. But he was just like thinking at the end of the race, is Ethan coming for me? He was worried. So a lot of respect there. But the other interesting thing about Masao is, like, he wins the indoor title, and then afterwards he's just like, workouts and stuff weren't going well. He wasn't recovering, and he just tells his coach, Dave Smith, he's like, I'm not recovering the way I want to. Like, I think I need to take a break or whatever. And a lot of coaches, like, wouldn't do that. Like, he didn't run the conference meet. He raced in April. He got the NCAA qualifier, and then they just sort of they backed off of training, did a lot of easier running, and then they started building up a little bit. But, a lot of teams, you'd throw them out because you need the points. These guys are on scholarship. They're there to score points at Big 12s. They didn't do that, and he shows up at regionals and runs pretty well. And then after regionals, Dave told him, "Hey, looks like you're back." And he's like, "No, not yet, but I will be in 2 weeks." And he showed up, wins it. So really great championship runner. And then looking forward, I said, "Are you going to be running the Kenyan trials for the World Championships?" And he said, "Oh yeah, absolutely. I'll be going back." And he wanted to run the Olympic trials last year. The reason he said he wasn't able to is because Kenya is a Category A federation with the AIU, you need to have 3 out-of-competition drug tests within 10 months leading up to the Olympics, and same thing for World Championships. And my guess is he wasn't in the testing pool at that point. And that's sometimes as an athlete, it's like you might want to be tested, but you need to kind of be put into the pool or whatever. So he didn't have the tests, so they didn't let him run the Olympic trials last year. This time he says, the testing's all good. I'm all set. I plan on running the trials, and they're at altitude. They're going to be in Nairobi or somewhere in Kenya, presumably. So we'll see how he does running a race at altitude, but he does said he plans to go back to Kenya to prepare for it closer to the race.
That's excellent coaching. I mean, not all college coaches have the capital to let someone like that skip their conference meet, but just an excellent job. And I guess maybe it wasn't a total excuse. I didn't know that. I talked to Dave earlier. I'm like, why didn't you run the trials? Like, they wouldn't let him. He didn't tell me that was the whereabouts thing. But
it's not whereabouts. It's lack of testing.
But it does make me, I don't know. why is America doing so well in long distance? I think if this guy's in Kenya, he's probably running for a Diamond League. He doesn't have the big endorsement contract. You got to get ready for a Diamond League. Even if you're not in shape, you're going to run the Diamond League instead of like thinking, I'm not recovered, I need to take another month break. So you're seeing that. We have more endorsement contracts here. We have better coaching, I would argue. And we don't have to do it. You know, no one misses the trials because they're not in the drug testing pool because they're thousands of miles away.
Yeah. So we got a comment in the chat here. Curious if Jonathan's heard whether any of this crop of distance guys will go pro early. So here's my understanding among the champions. Nathan Green, he's out of eligibility. He's turning pro. He sounded like, yeah, I've already got something lined up. I'll be staying in Seattle with Andy Powell, and like he expects a pro announcement within hours, basically. So either today or tomorrow, he's going to be probably announcing who he's signing with.
Hey, Nathan, back out of that and raise the price by $100,000.
Okay. The 800, Whitmarsh, seems like he's got no idea of what he wants to do. Again, he's turning pro as well. I think he's out of eligibility. So the steeplechase, Corrigan does have eligibility remaining. And he was like, look, I've my option. I'm in a pretty good spot here. I have a lot of options. It sounded like he certainly could turn professional and would have a pretty good situation if he wanted to right now. I don't think he's 100% decided, but my guess is he probably will turn pro, but he does have the option of returning. He could run like one more cross season like Kenneth Rooks did, but he's already got the team title in cross, and he's not going to be a threat for the individual title, I don't think. So I don't know how much that'll have to do with it. And then with Sal, I didn't actually ask him about sort of professional situation, but he will be running the Kenyan World Championship trials. I did hear from someone today, a source who I don't think would be BSing me. They thought Ishmael Kipkurui might be one and done at New Mexico. That it was possible he might turn pro, which would be curious because he clearly could have turned pro depending on the definition of pro, but he could, that would have been an option for him this year, and he decided to come to New Mexico. So that'll be interesting to follow. And then Ethan Strand does have like indoor eligibility left, but I would be surprised if he takes it. I would expect him. He said, we'll see what happens, but I think he'll be turning pro quite shortly as well. Can't hear you, Weldon.
My daughter's here, 2044 Olympic champion. What are you going to say, Cece?
I'm so worried.
She starts you.
I guess no hot takes from CC. She's got to listen to more Rojo before she's ready to weigh in. Oh, the other thing. So the sprints we don't need to talk about all the sprints. Kali Makarawu of Kentucky, I thought 1984, really good 200 result there. Jordan Antony wins the 100 from lane 9, and the time wasn't that great. It's not warm here. It's in like the 60s. There was a little bit of a tailwind though for that final 10:07, so it wasn't really a great winning time. But he was essentially saying, like, people were saying, oh, he sandbagged the prelims. What's he doing? And he was like, I'm very much aware of people saying about this. Like, they're saying, what's he doing? Why is he going so easy? And he was like, that's kind of an intentional approach. He's like, I'm not a prelims guy. I'm a finals guy. And I wanted to save a little bit, because he's running 3 prelims, 4x1, 200, 100. He came out, he delivered, he won the 100. And he's on the football team at Arkansas. He hasn't played a ton. This is his third school at the NCAA. I said, what's the plan? Are you going to run USAs? Are you going to stay with football? What are you doing? He's just like, big announcement coming. And my guess is he's going to turn pro or he's going to focus completely on track, because if you win the NCAA 100-meter title and you run 9.75 with a 2.1 wind, I think the opportunities are better for him in track and field than they are in football, given he hasn't played very much.
Yeah, John, I was Googling afterwards to see if I could find anything about him in the spring football. I saw some article essentially saying they think he's going to focus more on track. I mean, it makes sense. He run 9.75. I started a thread, John, after that race. It's like, sprint guys, explain to me why the 100 was so slow. And someone's like, "Oh, the Texas A&M track is fraudulent, so it's good to turn pro when you got the 975 on a fraudulent track. Turn pro." But then they pointed out the 200 was 1984, so it just really doesn't. I don't know.
Look, it was a cool night. I must not have watched the 200 because I didn't see those times. 3 guys break 20 in the 200, but the 100 time was bizarre because in the prelims, 7 of the 8 guys ran faster than the winning time today. So the winning time today was what, 10:08, right? Yeah, 10:07. So 7 guys ran 10:07 or faster just to get in the final. And then I just figured, it just shows you what a big difference temperature makes. Maybe you can run a 200 a little bit better in temperature. Or who knows? Because these guys were running pretty fast in the prelims.
Well, the other thing I thought was weird, have you ever seen a guy who finished 3rd place in 100 start celebrating as if he won the title? Because that's certainly what it looked like LSU's Jelani Watkins was doing when he crossed the finish line. He was like pumped up about it. And maybe he just didn't see Antony all the way out in lane 9, but it was a weird, like,
I thought it was the Auburn guy. The guy in the middle of the track definitely thought he won. But Dwight Stones missed it too in lane 9. I apologize, Dwight, for slamming you so much tonight in the message board, but they need to have a professional play-by-play guy do play-by-play. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay. Any final thoughts before we put Rojo to bed? He's probably totally hammered from drinking Miller Light or Extra Light or whatever you call it that one night.
Are we not going to discuss the biggest track performance of the day?
Thank you, Weldon.
Oh, Tyreek.
If I put that in the title of this thing right now, the live stream numbers would quadruple.
Wait, what was the wind on that? I've seen the result. I don't know what the wind was.
Wait, I think he's talking about something else. I was going to talk about the fabulous men's discus upset where the world record holder and Olympic champion, right?
Olympic silver medalist. But no, this is absolutely insane. Mikolas Alekna of Lithuania, who has broken the world record each of the last 2 years. He broke the world record in April.
With a gale force wind, John.
Okay, yes, I'm aware. But all right, he was the silver medalist at the Olympics. Does that make you feel better? Well, then, This is one of the greatest discus throwers in the world. 2-time world record holder. He has competed in 3 NCAA championships in his career. He has yet to win one. That is just wild to me. And obviously, I don't think it's like 69 meters for a collegiate distance throw is like really good. Ralph Mullings from Oklahoma, who won it, Alekna can't just show up and drop out of bed and run a 69, right? That's pretty impressive.
Trivia, not that I'm a discus expert. Well, actually, I can sound like a discus expert. Do you guys realize that? I mean, what did he win the silver medal in last year? He threw 69 meters. No, 69.97. But this guy, shout out to the winner, as you said, Mullings. He destroyed the NCAA record, meet record of 67.06 by over 2 meters, 69.31. So just kind of interesting thing. What is your performance of the day, Weldon?
Tyreek Hill, the Miami Dolphins sprinter, now 30 years old, ran a 10.15 wind legal 100 meters PB, beating his PB from, I think, 10.19 from 12 years ago when he was 18. I mean, this is the only NFL guy with world-class track speed. I mean, he was a world junior medalist at 200 meters, gold medal in the 4x1. But he's run a couple 60s in the last year. Or did he run 100 last year, John?
No, I think he ran a 60 at the U.S. Masters Championship either a year or 2 ago. First of all, he's 31 years old. I mean, how many professional sprinters at age 31 can run 10.15? That's pretty, that is faster than I thought for sure. And also, Noah, I don't think Noah Lyle's Tyreek race is going to happen anymore because Noah's been injured. But 10.15, I'm like, okay, you got my attention. That's a lot fun. That's better than I thought. And that to me tells me he must have actually been training for this and taking it quite seriously. And I don't think you run 10.5 just off of football training.
I don't get why is I haven't heard anything about the Noah Lyles race, so I assume it's not happening.
I don't think it is because Noah's hurt.
but I wouldn't want to show my cards. I'd want to just race and keep the hype. Like if you know he's in 10-1-5 shape, you know that's not going to beat Noah. When maybe it's 60 meters, he can beat Noah, but like I'd rather just keep it more of a mystery. I'm fascinated with why this guy makes millions of dollars is doing this.
Well, he probably wants to actually get, you might want to keep it a mystery, but you might also want to say, like, I don't want to go in for my first track race. I guess he'd ran that Masters race, but you might actually want to get used to everything that goes into a race as opposed to just trying that on the first day. So I can get why he did that.
All right, Supporters Club members, we love you.
All right. Well, I think that's going to do it from day 3, Friday night. One of my favorite days of the year, men's finals day at NCAA's. The distance races did not disappoint. They never do. The sprints were good. I mean, Nathan Ezekiel from Baylor, the 400 hurdles. He was really impressive, 47.49. That's a great time. The men's 110 hurdles, we haven't mentioned this guy at all. Jacoby Tharp, 13.05. He's 19 years old and ran 13.05 in 110 hurdles. Like, that guy could be an absolute superstar.
And the weird thing to me was it didn't look that impressive. I felt like then they showed him the replay, he didn't touch the hurdle, but it looked like he was getting caught and then he sped up. I guess that was 400 hurdles. But
Devon Achan's run 10.09. That doesn't surprise. Achan's, yeah, you watch him on the field. That guy moves really fast. So
there's a comment here from Thomas Lester saying Devon Achan, former of A&M, now the Dolphins, 10.09. So forget about the Noah Lyles.
I see 10.14 on Tio Tapia, but maybe he ran faster.
Tyreek Hill race. We'll just have the Dolphins. We'll have the Dolphins race. But that shows also, right? Like, if Tyreek Hill raced Noah with some sort at a shorter distance or some sort of handicap, I mean, the viewers would be so much better than if 2 Dolphins just raced. Okay, we're gonna have to look this up. We're gonna have to settle this because the guy's insisting that it's 10.09. I'll pull up his World Athletics profile here.
Devon Achan's 100-meter personal best isn't really that important in the grand scheme of things. Okay. We got to recap to right. We got final day women's finals on Saturday. So that's going to be fun as well. But thank you to everyone. All right. Now people are just throwing out. We've got 10.09, 10.04, 10.02 all in the comments. Maybe one day we'll figure out Devon Achan's actual personal best. But thanks everyone for tuning in. Let'sRun.com/subscribe if you are not a member of the Supporters Club and you enjoyed this, you want more of it. We appreciate all our viewers for staying up late on the East Coast or, tuning into us over the NBA Finals. So thank you and enjoy the final day on Saturday.
Wait, is there an NBA Final game right now?
It's over. We're 2-2 series. Thunder pulled it out.
That bet I had on the Pacers at 100-1.
Have you cashed that yet, Walden?
Part of it.
Okay.
To bet on Crystal Palace winning the FA Cup. Oh, that sure worked out. Okay, I am seeing a 10.02 with a 4.6 wind. Okay, if the Faith Kipyegon thing comes up short, we're just going to jump. We're going to organize it. We're going to have the first sub-4 mile, and what should we do with the 100? We're just going to find a downhill place that just has massive tailwinds all the time. If you guys want to come to the Let'sRun.com miles/100 meters, it's going to be huge. We're out in a cool country. Email us.
No, the best possible setup for 100 is a high altitude place that has a ton of wind. That's where you want to find. So if anyone knows of like a high desert mesa or something that's at like 7,000 feet and it's super windy, then let us know.
Rodrigo Harha Picardo is saying he's looking forward to the LA Grand Slam.
That's me.
I hope that's a joke or attempted humor. The LA Grand Slam's been canceled. I was figuring out this weekend, I was like, maybe we should have, and I see someone here, Linda came to the Let's Run meetup in San Francisco. I was like, I can't have it because it's July 4th weekend. I'm not going to be here. I'm like, we should have a meetup. We should do one day meetup in San Francisco to watch the slam. The other day, I'm going to fly down to LA. Well, if you want to hear what we said about LA, we talked about it for a good amount yesterday's podcast, but you got to be a Supporters Club member. Join today. Let'sRun.com/subscribe. they've come out, John, with stronger statements since we went off the air saying that they are going to have a year 2.
Have they acknowledged that the meet was canceled rather than postponed?
No, they said postponed. What do you mean? They're going to have it next year in LA. That's what they said.
But that's not having an annual meet. Postponing an annual meet to next year, that's not postponing. That's canceling.
Look, I had to come back on. I logged off. Y'all been going on saying the show was over 20 minutes ago. I came back on because I was about to call John. I don't think Weldon's listening to me. Like, I've said a lot of stats in this show, and he'll repeat the same stat. It's been driving me nuts the whole show. So I don't know if you noticed that, John. But if we make supporters club t-shirts, it needs to be called triple crown track and field. Like, that's what it needs to be. Exclusives for the
like Bruno track up, but we should just make a triple crown track club t-shirt. That would be kind of funny.
I don't like just dunking on people.
We're not dunking at them, John. We want them to succeed. If they come back next year,
So
it'll be sort of a relic, triple crown track. It's sort of funny. Like, hey, the first year didn't work out. You guys are entrepreneurs. Go for it.
Okay.
But okay, I know John met with an agent today. I don't know if you guys are talking Grand Slam track. Robert, have you any interactions with agents? Sort of did you get any insight on the ground anymore from what we had yesterday, John? Like, I guess checks didn't show up on the last day, but sort of what is the perception that you're hearing, just sort of the buzz? And Eugene?
I think a lot of people are doubtful that they're going to be able to, Grand Slam tracks are going to be able to meet their obligations financially. There's still a lot of prize money that still needs to be paid out. And I talked to an agent here at this meet who said they were telling athletes they will be paid within 30 days of the meet, and we're well past 30 days past Kingston. We're well past 30 days past, well, not well past, but we're past 30 days past Miami. Now, I will say it's not uncommon for track meets to go several months without paying people prize money, but I think the financial concerns, I mean, some of these athletes, Kenny Benerick, owed $300,000 in prize money, and there are some concerns floating around that they're not going to be able to pay their bills. Maybe they might, but I think that's certainly a question. There's concern here among some of the track folks that they might not be able to pay out all the prize money.
Yeah, I mean, if they want to go on for next year, they got to pay the prize money. I don't even think they can do a haircut. It needs to be paid in full, because now some of the contracted athletes who are going to get appearance fees over years, they can sit down with them and say, like, hey, we need to save some money. You know, we'll back you this year, but it's not going to be they can discuss that.
Right, but if you don't pay out the prize money for this year, you're not going to get athletes signing up for next.
People, or they're going to be like, I want a cashier's check. I want my appearance fee and a cashier's check before I step on the line, and I want $100 bills. That's what they should do for marketing, John. What did they focus on this year so much? The money, right? They should have $100,000 for each race in $100 bills. Does anyone know how much space $100,000 takes up? Let me ask Perplexity, the sponsor of this podcast. It's not a sponsor.
We have a sponsor for the podcast?
No, but I've heard that in another podcast.
All right. Well, you seem like you need someone to talk to. Maybe you need to put on Bill Maher and chill with your wife, because I have some work to do and finishing up on this recap. I'm going to head up, maybe get a hamburger or something. So it's a pleasure talking track with you guys. Final chance. Hit the tips right now. I'll keep answering your personal questions. No one took me up on the offer. I said it was there. Okay. Talk to you guys later. Thanks for having us. So long. Someone's saying $1 million would not take up that much space. All right, guys. We got a Diamond League. We have NCAAs tomorrow, Diamond League Sunday.